And you are joining us now. We should be live. Are we live? Yes, we are live. You are joining us now for another edition of the Christian Anime Podcast. Look, today, today was a good day. Today is a sunny day. I'm expecting it to rain at some point. I really hope it doesn't rain. But we'll go with it. Good morning from here on this side of the Pacific here in Australia. I know we've got some of our American friends joining us now. Look, I have to say this. It was because it's absolutely, it goes to show how much like the left absolutely hates, just despises right wingers. Because I saw some news coverage. I was just scrolling through my Instagram. I saw some news coverage of the Charlie Kirk vigil that happened in Sydney, and then I just looked through the comments, and all of the comments were like, "Oh, there's not a single piece of intelligent life here." Or like there was another one which was like, "Oh yeah, why are they caring for someone who really didn't care about them?" Or and it's just the lack of humanity really is. My overlay is off because it's weird. It's weird. I don't think it'll work. Wait, we'll see. Um, do we have it? Yeah, chat's not working today. Chat will work tomorrow. That's for sure. I know that's for certain. So yeah. Hello, Zachtan. How are you? How are you? So yeah, I'd hate to. Okay, I am bringing up Charlie Kirk, right? Because he was also honored at this particular rally, and it just goes to show as well here in Australia that there is still like, at least on the in online spaces, that left wingers still kind of control a lot of it. I think it'll be a long time since until we have like conservatives who will actually be prominent on on online here, especially in online spaces here in Australia. So yeah. Otherwise, today I do want to check out though, because one of the things that my pastor always says actually is that Australia is usually 5 to 10 years behind the trends which are occurring in the United States and in Britain, right? Right now, like we see in the United States, this wave of the wave of like conservatism, right? Best exemplified by the election of Donald Trump in 2024. We see in Britain currently the Reform Party is polling at the highest it's ever been. I think some polls even suggest that they will win if a general election were called today. Or sorry, if a snap election were to be called today, the the Reform Party, Reform UK, would win a majority of seats. Um, and we also see like all of the migrant protest, anti-migrant or anti-illegal migrant protests. I got to make that really clear. It's not anti-migration. It's not like It's not racist, right? It's specifically anti-illegal migration, which is the problem. So yeah, welcome Zahara Smith. I haven't seen you in stream yet, so I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. So with that, if you're not aware of Tommy Robinson as well, you should go look at his. I think his interview with Jordan Peterson was really important. But Tommy Robinson is a particularly important figure on the British right, because um, the British conservative space is not really filled with a lot of conservatives. So, like you see in the Conservative Party, the current Conservative Party is basically full of neolibs. They're not even conservative. The last conservative, the period at which the Conservatives were in power, they didn't even do anything. They were they actually had a all they did was probably Brexit. That was the one right wing thing they did. But otherwise, they've just been big neolibs. So yeah, in terms of everything else though, like even Nigel Farage, right, who is like the mainstream figure of the right, he's got like he's a bit squishy on some issues as well, and I don't think he's Christian either. So he's not, and Farage is a very very complicated character. He's got a couple of flaws as well. He's not the most absolute perfect political leader either. So yeah, there are some contradictions with Farage. There are some things with Farage which are a bit iffy. So those are the sort of things as well. Um, this is your first stream you've caught? Yeah, hey, that's perfectly fine, Zahira. We are all well and good. Welcome, Jethro. Good to see you on stream. Peon says maybe criminals should go to jail again. Yeah, that's for certain. Zaktan says definitely more criminal and cultural rather than racial concerns from immigration. And even from that perspective, right? I think Charlie Kirk had a perfect. I think he was speaking. He was lecturing or taking questions in Japan at the time. But his what he said in terms of what defines a nation is mainly the what defines a nation are values, the people, and the land, right? So, for example, if you were to take all of the Japanese people and put them on Madagascar, would that still be Japan? No, that would not be Japan, right? That would be Japanese Madagascar. Let's think about like there is an importance to it, right? Like I think we shouldn't die at the altar of like racial identity, but there is a distinct Japanese people, right? There's no one else that is Japanese other than the people who have lived in Japan for hundreds and thousands of years, right? Like there's no other people for which you could assign the label Japanese. And that's the same with British as well. I think that's the great tragedy of the 21st century, actually, with all the European countries, which is more and more white Europeans are in the minority. And like, look, I say this as a Filipino as well, right? I say this as a Filipino in which I wouldn't want like my ancestors living in the Philippines, right? I want them to or like my fellow peers, my fellow Filipino peers who are currently in the Philippines as well. I want them to live in a country where they feel like they live around Filipinos as well. However, I say this as well, to ethnic minorities, that doesn't mean we bully them. That doesn't mean we still show compassion to them. We still show grace towards them. We still show kindness to them. It's just that we also have this concept of a nation state which requires the existence of in Britain, right? The British state requires the existence of white British people, right? If we were to take away white British people, is it still Britain, right? No, it isn't, right? That's not the vision that their ancestors died for, right? There is no connection to the land because they don't have that line of blood which carries on for hundreds and thousands of years. Well, maybe we'll just say hundreds of years for in the case of Britain. In terms of modern Britain definitely starts, I think, around 1066, which is the most agreed upon point. Zaktan says, true, even only law-abiding people move to Japan. If too many of them moved into Japan, it would not be Japan, right? So the minority has to, like, there's a reason why they're called an ethnic minority. They have to stay an ethnic minority, I think, for the country to still stay that. And if you were to move to Japan as well, like, people who immigrate to these countries need to be able to not only speak the language, but adopt the culture as well. And that's the thing as well, which is the values and culture of a nation. There is such a thing. I need to do some more reading on it, but I'm pretty sure. Well, okay, look, the values of Britain really are right. They're more conservative family values, and they are distinctly Christian as well. So yeah. Trigon guy, in honor of Charlie Kirk, this no asking about Trigon this week. Hey, that's respectable. I respect it. And thank you for the be safe, brother, because yeah, it's just look, this has made me even more emboldened and even more safe with my decision to not show my face on the internet, because it just goes to show even here in Australia, we don't have, like, the worst thing they can do to me is like be mean to me. That's probably the worst thing they can do to me. And maybe be also not get a job as well. Maybe that's also it. But yeah, it's just I am just seeing some of the comments from my fellow Australians as well, it's just not it. It's really just not it. So we are not sending the Japanese to Madagascar. No, we are not sending the Japanese to Madagascar. So those are the three things, right, which Charlie Kirk points out with what makes up a nation state. It's the land, it's the people, and the culture, right? Without one of those things, like it's not really a nation. What you have is and when you take away all three of those things, what you have is an economic zone. I think Carl Benjamin once said of Rishi Sunak, the reason why Rishi Sunak was such a bad prime minister is that he has no connection to Britain itself, right? He is, and it's not a point to make about race, right? It's a point to make about him being an investment banker. We have to, like, if you guys were aware, Rishi Sunak, the previous prime minister of the United Kingdom, came from an investment banking background. And that just goes to show you, I think, that informs you what his view of Britain is, which is Britain is not this unique culture, it's not this unique people, and it's not this unique land with a long and proud history. He simply views Britain as economic zone number 54. And that's what, like, it comes back to worship of GDP, right? I'll say that as well, which is the worship of GDP is probably the people talk about idol and pagan worship. I think that's one of the other than the worship of Israel, that's probably the worst thing that people worship today as well, which is if you are atheist, if you identify as someone who's capitalist / neoliberal, neoconservative, what you worship is GDP. So yeah. Zacton says, yeah, but Australians know how to be really mean. It's the accent. Just kidding. No, I think it's just like just seeing my peers. Like I honestly am quite blessed that I'm surrounded by, like, I do have friends who did come out in support of Charlie Kirk. But I am also aware of the fact that there's also a lot of people who do not, and and not only that, they really actively despise him. They say the most outrageous and just ridiculous things ever. So yeah, Compound Fracture says it's the spirit of Babel. I'm more inclined to believe that. All right, so today I just wanted to react. Let's react to some clips of what's happening in the UK. I'm not super informed on this, so please let me know if I'm misinformed. But most of the videos I'm watching are from the mainstream media. I can already kind of suss that there are some things which they are obscuring, but there's that. Zaktan says, some of the Canadian streamers I watch have said that some of their fellow Canadians are proud to be anti-American, not so much to be distinctly Canadian. That's a separate, I want to say that's like a separate issue in terms of what Canadian identity is. It's really funny. I watched a video on how Canadian identity really is based on being anti-American, that we are not America. That's a separate discussion to have. But yeah, let's take a look. Of course, this is from the mainstream media, so I do expect it to be biased. And I'm pretty sure there are some things here which kind of raise the red flag.
The tinderbox summer of protest promised by activists never truly caught flame. Instead, a slow burn of nationalism, maybe more powerful for it, and this was the culmination.
And already we can see there the framing of it. I really don't like the way that they've framed it. They've framed it in a way which is really cringe. He was saying a tinderbox, yada 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 yada, and instead of like a mass protest, right? It was just like a slow burn of nationalism. And I think, look. The thing that conservatives have to understand, of course, the thing that you have to understand as a conservative is that leftists are unemployed. That's something that you have to come to a realization of, which is leftists are unemployed. What do I mean by saying this? Oh, and not only are they unemployed, they also have their own religion, which is the religion of social justice. So what do I mean by this? Here in Australia, I think in Melbourne, Melbourne has had a weekly pro-Palestine protest every week every Sunday for the past few weeks. Now, that goes to show you, right? Instead of these guys, instead of going to church, instead of like spending time with their family, instead of having a family as well, instead of like just really enjoying life, instead they have adopted the new religion of Palestine. Palestine is their religion. Protesting is their act of worship, right? Going out is their act of service to this religion of Palestine. So also, it just show they're unemployed because they don't have anything better to do on a Sunday other than to go out and protest. So yeah, professional protest for the Omni cause, for real. Omni cause, yeah. No peaceful protesters that are actually peaceful. I think peaceful protest is like this looks pretty peaceful, right? I think it's just the case that every protest is going to have like some of them, they're just going to be peaceful and there's nothing bad that's going to happen, and there's just going to be some where there's going to be a few skirmishes. It's not going to be like absolutely insane. So yeah. Zarek Beck says, at Grok, is this bundle of sticksism? No, it's not. It's not. This is just people being normal. And the way that they framed it as well, they frame it in the way that, oh, this isn't actually anything popular, right? This is just like a small minority of people. And it's just the framing of it is just absolutely terrible.
More than 100,000 people gathering to march in central London, a sea of flags.
And I love this as well. Like I gotta shout this out. Like the number of crosses here, that's absolutely insane. Like we are seeing, and I really want to see this in Australia as well. I want to see this continued revival of the church throughout all the world, right? Something that was in like we've already seen it, this revival in America. We've already seen this with the Quiet Revival, which is seemingly taking place in the United Kingdom. We see this in the fact, like, we kind of already see this here in Australia as well, which is, I think, the statistics for religious affiliation. Gen Z is the first generation to not have like a decrease in religious affiliation. I think it's the first generation since the silent generation where religious affiliation has not decreased, right? So we're already seeing this here. I just want to see this as well. And the fact that I saw like bits and pieces of this, the fact that when I went to the anti-mass migration protest here in my city, the fact that I saw so many young people, the fact that I saw it wasn't just boomers, right? It was people with families, people in their 30s or 40s taking their children with them to this protest. I think it was just such a surreal thing, right? Because that's what we're all about, right? So yeah, it can't just be a movement which is confined to one particular generation or one particular ideology. It has to be far-reaching, right? And this is just amazing to see, right? John Carlo Reyes says, I hope there's no bad actors that will turn this into a Charlottesville, UK. And I don't think there are bad actors. So yeah. Zachtan says more than 100,000 is one way to say close to a million. I think I've seen I'm not fully decided on which figure to believe, because I've seen the 3 million figure going around a few times, and like I don't think you can. I'm not sure how you could verify that. If the police, like I would want to see the police reports. And does that look like 100,000 people? I mean, from the air, it, like I need to see how it compares. What does 3 million people look like, right? So I actually don't, I'm not gonna make a judgment on that. Oh yeah, and the Borderlands ad there is insane. Peon says, we're the popular kids and you aren't. We'll make sure of that this time. Zachtan says, prayers for revival, for real. And Silly Salami Slapper, welcome to stream. You said, I'm eating pizza right now. Gumble fan, thank you for the $2 super chat. Have you seen K-pop Demon Hunters yet? I'm halfway through it. I do want to finish it sometime soon. Eventually, I will do a K-pop Demon Hunters video, but it might have to be. We'll see. I think if I do one now, it has to be completely different to what all of the other people I have to provide a different take compared to what all the other people have been doing it on. And I might do I'm genuinely considering a 1-hour video for that. So yeah. So yeah. I will, but my current projects are focusing on. Unfortunately, I'm just focusing on the a few Takapi's original sin videos, and there's another one on probably Rascal Doesn't Dream of Santa Claus. I think those are the two. Those are the two.
Kingdom was the all-encompassing slogan, drawn widely enough to mean different things for different people, whether that was free speech or immigration.
Why are they coming in like that? Surely that's wrong. Why would you, I wouldn't skip on a boat and go to another country and hop off and expect to be well looked after. But apart from that, this is just United Kingdom.
Just to stand up for what I believe in. Yeah. We're losing identity of our country and somebody needs to stand up and fight for it.
People may have had...
And again, like, just note there, the way that they've framed it as well. Like, this is how the media works, right? Like, you just see how the two people they talked to were two boomers. They talked to two relatively old people. They made sure they were old as well to make this look like an old process. And already you can see here, like, I see young people here in the crowd, right? There's I can spot a few young people in the crowd, and you can see that this is the framing that they want. The media wants to frame it as these are just a bunch of old people who are like really, really racist, and they're not actually. This isn't anything important, and you shouldn't worry about it because they're gonna die out in like 2 decades anyway. So yeah, that's we should. Those are the things that I'm just. Sometimes I'm frustrated with the media, but you know what? Like, sometimes I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that that's the way that they would frame it far out.
Different reasons, but they came for the same person. At the center of it all, the anti-Islam activist Tommy Robinson.
And note the way there as well that they framed who Tommy Robinson was. He's an anti-Islam activist. It didn't say the reasons why he was anti-Islam. Like, if you're aware, guys, like there was if you're aware of the child grooming scandal, particularly from Pakistani gangs that were grooming like multiple white kids. Those were that is what is being obscured in this mainstream media presentation of it, right? So yeah. He did get arrested, he was in jail, and then he was released recently, I think. So yeah, and it just goes to show, right? You can continue arresting the guy, and it looks like it was actually better for him to be arrested and put in jail because I'm pretty sure. I think David Wood kind of said this, which was when he was in prison, he probably converted to Christianity. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Like it just goes to show you that God really impacts people that way. So, yeah.
At the front of March, Tommy Robinson's just there, thick throng of security, heavily protected, giving a lot of cheers.
Yeah, and that as well, right? Like, he is heavily protected. Note the context, right? Which was not even a week ago, we had a high-profile assassination of Charlie Kirk, right? So this guy definitely can't die. Like, it's really. Really can't lose him now. So yeah,
a lot of waves. This march extends a very, very long way behind us. A huge number of people who've turned out today behind that man, Tommy Robinson.
None of his previous rallies had drawn a crowd this big. And what's newer too is the overt displays of Christian nationalism. When the crowd
note that as well. Christian nationalism, like I absolutely hate that term because nobody can really seemingly define it, right? Why is it and also why is it bad to be a Christian nationalist? Why is it bad that we want the nations that we live in to be Christian? Like, what's so bad about that? And it's really good as well. We see it's really good that the looks like the clergy of the Anglican Church have come out to actually support this. So it's really, really good. You can you can hear the disgust in his voice when he says Christian. That's so true, Compound Fracture. It's just so true. Man, it's...
Assembled, they were led in a chant of Christ as King, and then the Lord's Prayer.
Hallowed be thy name.
As the heavens opened.
And yeah, it's just... What's so wrong about it, right? What's so wrong about saying the Lord's Prayer? What's so wrong about, like, you want all of these thousands of Muslims to come to be imported in the UK, right? Anime Catholicism says, legit race aside, the unequal application of the law is abomination. Yep. We hope all become Christians, for real, for real. I think the only, like, I think the way that this can be fixed, right, is that if all of these illegal migrants who have come into the country all convert to Christianity. And I know that seems impossible, but genuinely, like, if the Lord wills it, if God has predestined all of these people to come to Christ, they will come to Christ. So yeah. And I would pray that that is the will of God, right? That these guys would become Christian. So yeah. Zachtan says, "Oh no, not the Lord's Prayer, for real, for real." Zara Union says, "I see my country is back." Yes, Britain is so back right now. And like, as I titled in the stream, I think this genuinely is Tommy Robinson's finest hour. I think he's really good. Like, he really has brought out so many people for him, and it's just, I really hope that Farage takes notes of this and realizes that his approach is not the correct approach. He can't be like a clean he can't like present as this, like, oh look, I'm this clean mainstream character that can agree with all sorts of people. No, he really needs to go a bit further right with this thing. Flyfox Pro says, my church was packed this morning and all my mutuals online reported something similar. That's really cool. Zachtan says, the government of the UK has been celebrating Islam while downplaying Christianity. Not very representative. For real, for real. Yeah, Alpha, this is a Britain W. This is a Britain W. Flyfox says, my son's kindergarten Sunday school had 31 kids in it today. Usually has half than that. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
4 giant screens were set up along Whitehall. Organisers said the area was completely full. When Robinson took the stage, it was more like a football match or a festival than a political rally.
We weathered the storm, and today we are the storm.
And that's not much of an exaggeration.
We weathered the storm, and today we are the storm. That's absolutely amazing. You know, it's actually really funny that it rained. That's like such a UK moment right there.
Not when Elon Musk, the world's richest man, made a virtual appearance to back Robinson. Support for Robinson doesn't mean total agreement with him, though.
Okay, and this is probably the part of the report. I already watched this report beforehand, and this is the part of the report that I hated the most, right? Which is like, oh, marching with Tommy Robinson is not necessarily a complete agreement with all of his policies. What person do you completely agree with, right? Like, just note here, let me get up the results of the previous UK election. 2024, I'm wanting to say. Not US. 2024 United Kingdom election. All right, let's check the numbers again. Seats won by the Labour Party, 411 seats won. And that's not how many, if there are 600 and, let's do the maths really quickly. So 650 seats, so 411 out of 650 seats. I think that's around 66%. Yeah, around 60% of the seats. So the Labour Party achieved 60% of the seats in the House of Commons, in the lower house. That is, yeah, just note that, right? 60% of the seats. They were able to get a majority, but who actually voted for them? Only 33% of the country voted for Labour. 33% of the country voted for Labour, and they got 60%. They are overrepresented by double. So I would need to look at like the coverage of Sky News, how Sky News was like covering the UK election victory for Labour. I'm sure there would be some people which are like, oh, it was a landslide victory for Labour. It was an indictment on conservatism. It was a vote for left-wing policies under a Labour government. I would challenge you and say, no, that's not necessarily the case. And for people to say this as well, like, people voted for Labour, and they didn't completely agree with everything. People mostly voted for Labour because they hated the Conservatives. It was a vote for, it was an anti-Conservative vote. Man, so when I hear stuff like this, right, which is like, oh yeah, like, some of these people actually disagree with a few things. Which person would you not disagree with a few things with, right? It's my annoyance with it's like, because I support like, same with Charlie Kirk, right? Like, just because I support Charlie Kirk on some things that he said doesn't mean I don't disagree with it. And actually, it's a good thing that we probably disagree on a few things, because we can have continued dialogue, right? I don't want to be like a leftist where we live in this left-wing bubble where you have to agree with every single thing that you that people talk about, or else you'll be absolutely mobbed and mauled and by your peers around you. So yeah. Annie Catholic says, Sky News is usually decent, but yeah, this is a bit biased. Coverage of the US is good, but UK is definitely skewed. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no. Sky News UK is completely different from Sky News Australia. Sky News Australia is pretty good. They're like very explicitly, they're the one right-wing media, mainstream media here in Australia. Sky News UK is like, it's biased to the left. It's got a left-wing bias. So yeah. Zachtan says, yeah, from what I've read, the UK Conservative Party as a party really let down their base. Wait, there is, I want to see the full results, because we'll see Reform UK. I want to see, I want to see if we have the actual percentages for Reform UK. There should be the percentage here. Yeah, here we go. Aggregate votes and Reform and look here, right? Reform UK got 14% of the votes, and they only got 5 seats. And that this goes into like some of the I'd hate to start a discussion on like the irregularities and like the unfairness of like of electoral systems like in the United States and in the UK. I should have to say, in the United States, I think the electoral your electoral system is complete garbage. The reason why is because your electoral system actually incentivizes only a two-party system, which is, and once you've got a two-party system, you can't actually vote for any other party. And this is the same thing in the UK as well, which is like, if you do vote for other parties, unfortunately, like you're gonna have this effect where you split the vote between like conservative and reform. Like I think if all of the reform voters actually voted for conservative, the Conservative Party would have won, would have gotten a majority in Parliament. But yeah, but I think the caveat here is like the Conservatives. It was a good loss for the Conservatives, because this is now the chance for Reform to actually win a bunch of seats, and I think they're polling really well now actually for the next election. Let's see. Yeah, Reform UK is polling pretty well. That's a really high. I think the next election is due 2029. Is it? Yeah, the next election is due in 2029. A lot can happen in 4 years. So the lead that Reform UK is having now could be completely destroyed if there's like some scandal within the party that absolutely destroys their reputation. But at the same time, I think in the Reform UK won really big in the UK local elections, and they won really big. They might win really big in the Welsh elections, and yeah, we'll see where it is. Yeah, no, I think it's actually, this is one of the good things about the UK political system, which is elections happen every 5 years, which ensures governance, like stable governance for at least 5 years. The reason I say this is because here in Australia, elections happen every 3 years. And I think it's just a recipe for disaster at that point. And even 5 years, I think 5 years is actually too short of a time to keep like people in power, because it's just one of the worst problems about democracy is the fact that leaders just cycle in and out. Like the fact that you can replace a leader so quickly, you can replace a vision for the country so quickly. When some of the issues that our countries are facing are long-term issues, and they need long-term issues, and they need long-term solutions as well. So if you've got an election every 3 years and you have to make unpopular decisions, which you often have to do, right, in order to fix some of the real structural issues within society, within our societies, you need to make unpopular decisions. So yeah, it's just, this is just one of the problems with democracies, right? Which is like you just cannot have like a long-term vision for the country, or you can't enact a long-term vision for the country because of that. Jew Smoke says they're all evil. I wouldn't say I'm less black-pilled. I'm more white-pilled about the future. For those of you who aren't aware, I have a post-millennial eschatology, which means I do believe that the world is going to become more and more Christian as time goes on. I believe most of the events in Revelation actually occurred. I'm not hyper-preterist. I'm a partial preterist, which means I believe most of the events that we see in the book of Revelation have already happened during the destruction of the temple in 70 AD. And that's what I believe as well. I believe the Antichrist is Emperor Nero Caesar. Caesar Nero. Nero Caesar, yes. That's it. So Compound Fracture says that's why democracies always end in dictatorships. Or like they are ultimately dictatorships in the end. Like it's we may be able to change the opinion, but yeah, it's just like that. So yeah. So hey, let's continue watching. I think they interview one more person just to wrap it up.
When he's talking about, he uses language sometimes, like that speech he said, traitors in Westminster. Do you agree with that?
Not necessarily, but I do think he has a good point with some of the things he has come up with, some of the things he has spoken about, the things he's got evidence with.
And it's clear that simply writing off protesters as far-right thugs doesn't really
Yeah,
count.
Neron Kaiser, that's what I was saying, Belching Glad. So, I was going to say, again, it's like the way that they framed this, right? The way that they framed all of this, right? There is no denying it, right? That this is a massive show of support for British identity, British culture, for Christianity, right? I think it is such a shame. Like it's you compare this with the coverage on the pro-Palestine protests. I think it's a stark contrast, right? Where they're like, oh yeah, look at all of these people protesting for justice, wanting the government to take more action. And then the way that they frame this protest is like, yeah, it's just a bunch of people who are like, I'm pretty sure they're the minority in the country, so just keep, like the government can keep doing whatever it wants, right? That's what I get a sense from the media coverage of this, which is it's just so cringe. Starship Garage, my English blood is proud, and you should be proud of where your ancestors, the roots that you came from. And if you didn't have like a long history, then there's that. The hatred for the British from the French and Irish side in me has taken a sideline for now, for real. Philip Murphy says Sky News is not watchable anyway. Look, I still like watching mainstream media because like the way that they produce things, it looks cool. It's slick, it's clean, it's cool, and it provides like a. Like, even though you can see the biases in them, right? Like, I'm not being hypnotized or actively like, it's like, Podcast Sun is just a puppet of like the mainstream media. Like, I think you guys need to, the fact that we all have our, like our suspicions of the mainstream media is actually a good thing, right? We should be critically thinking about the things that we watch and not just like blindly accepting every step of the way. So yeah, there's that.
Sure, what's going on either.
My mum has been telling me about this march, and I really wanted to go and support London.
This was certainly
that's
the
really
largest
cute. Hey, there you go.
nationalist-
Okay, that's actually not too bad, right? They got a kid up. They got a kid up to speak. So they didn't just say it's just boomers.
rally in recent memory. For those here, it was not just the cap to a long summer of discontent, but the start of something bigger. Tom Cheshire, Sky News, Whitehall.
Big W, big W. Like again, like just looking at just looking at the crowd there, it's hard to believe that that's just 100,000 people. It really is just it's difficult to believe that. But the media has their narrative. They will push it. They will not concede. They will not admit they are wrong. They will just go for it. So yeah. All right, with that, I'm gonna wrap up today's stream. Just note, guys, stay on stream, by the way, because this stream will redirect to one of my friends, Valorian, who is going to debut as a VTuber in about 20 minutes. So please go support him. This stream will redirect to that, so please stay there. Other than that, I hope for those of you on this side of the Pacific and for those of you in my city as well, I hope you have a good day. I hope it doesn't rain here. And for our American friends as well, I hope you have a blessed rest of your evening. Take care of yourself, and Torah.